Right now.
Trustee Henry?
Yes, sir, I hear you now.
There you are.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Are you okay for the agenda on the first item?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Corbett?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Evans?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Lopez?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay, you're all set for that. Thank you. Just think you're appointed with the building department.
We'll issue the permit while you want to try to.
52 North Central? Back again.
This one's, store has a lot of old signs in there, and, we changing it with smaller signs, and we're also adding, awnings in them as well.
This is,
For that corner.
these are gonna be hard to forward. Their sign's been there probably 100 years.
These are very old signs, and they're oversized too.
Yeah,
They pointed out that the signs have to be a 2-foot height unless otherwise approved. And I think you had a provision, or you were gonna.
the commission recommended that you resize them to comply with the guidelines.
Yeah, I can resize it and make it 2 feet high.
Yeah,
Yes.
the way you sent it to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
24 inch.
Just the design, by the way, looks great, and I think it'll do wonders, just for street appeal, corner appeal, right? It's right there on the corner, I guess, so having these awnings, having the signs, I think it'll make a huge difference.
It's gonna look really nice.
Yes. Not nicely.
The one thing, if I might, so on the upper picture of the replacement, the repaint. So all those clutter signs that were on the left side are gone in that picture, but they're not gone from the building. Is the intent to remove
I mean-
the door too?
That's not my fault, that was the corners
Yeah.
of the store. I mean, just hiding to do the signs of the owners on top, they never mentioned anything about the doors or anything like that. But if you want me to mention it to him. that-
It just looks, I mean, if you look at the difference between.
Oh, I
that
know, I see,
And today, I mean,
I know,
he's gonna bring a business to clean it up.
absolutely. I agree.
Tony, do you want to mention that to him, maybe, James?
Yep.
Thank you so much.
And I'm gonna send this to somebody who's probably gonna have tears in their eyes when we open up the email.
You gonna send it to him?
Yeah.
Bless you. That issue is to make the best road speak in town. They're lining out the door again. Trustee Henry, okay for the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Coffee?
With the comments noted.
The changes.
Good.
Okay. Trustee Evans?
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Lopez?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. You're all set. Two, thank you. You're welcome. Have a nice evening.
I will, take it again.
Review the website renewal.
Okay, I'll start with, I guess, just a brief and then turn it over to you, kind of stuff over to Mike. To start and keep it real basic, our website is tired. It's been tired for a while. It's out of compliance with a bunch of new requirements, both with the state, cybersecurity, as our insurance policies. And right now, it's due for renewal. So for the past 4 months, Mike and I have been meeting with the Civics Plus people, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of people on their team to come up with the best solutions for us to get a new and improved website that will benefit us as well as benefit the users. And also, we talked to them about some features that they now have that I'll go into after Mike talks about the website.
All right, as Mr. Bill said, the website is very outdated. I believe we put the website in place somewhere between 2008, 2010, somewhere around that time frame. So in the conversations with Civic Plus, there's a lot of new enhancements that are now offered to us that we don't have the ability because of the platform we're on now. So the first thing to understand is the website is designed on what's called an open platform. An open platform is a core of software that is standard through different versions. So think of it as a cheesecake. Everybody has a cheesecake, but everybody has a different flavor. So you can have strawberries on one, cherries on another, or cream on another, so on and so forth. So that's what open source is. Everybody has the core system information, but then they put their own twist to it. So it's a community thing, and it's very popular. I mean, one of the operating systems, Linux, is based on that. The issue with that is that it goes what they call end of life very quickly. So with this new system, because Civics Plus has adopted and purchased other companies, they're moving organizations now into more robust corporate level system, which is in their control to have updates, to be able to maintain it, to be able to support it a lot better, which means that it stays online better for us. They're able to patch it for cybersecurity reasons a lot more efficiently because they're dealing with it on a corporate level. So that's the first major thing, is that we're actually going to be on a system that is robust to handle the things that we need. So the other thing is the cybersecurity part of it. With this new system, they are now putting into place new cybersecurity defense systems from a third-party vendor. And what that is going to do, that is going to be able to protect us from things like what they call DDoS, which is called a distributed denial of service attack, which basically when a hacker wants to take a website down, they infect thousands, 10,000, 100,000 machines that immediately send communications to that one server, that one website. Well, it can only handle so much at one time. So by that time, if they can't handle anymore, it becomes offline and shut down. There's no access to it until the situation is rectified. So in this day and age, DDoS is very popular when they want to take a website down. With this new package, it gives us protections against that, along with other things. One of the biggest things is that it's now going to be easy to upload and manipulate data, pages, photos, things of that nature. It's very difficult to get on the back end and to do these things and post them. It takes more time. They've really re-engineered how you do that. And it makes it a lot easier and quicker to post these things. And they've given you more features that you can now add to it. One of the other things that Mr. Mills suggested is there are other components to the website that are now part of the Civic Plus portfolio. Our current website can't integrate with anything. It's just a website. It's very static. Just the pages stay where they are until they're updated. Well, as Civic Plus has taken more companies over, they have added new features that are now available to municipalities. The first one we have that we've been using for quite some time now is the Civic Plus social media archive. So following state regulations, all our social media posts are archived to a separate system. They allow integration with the system to allow our residents now to actually go back and look at our social media, whether they have Facebook, whether they have whatever social media platform we're using, they can literally go on our website and they can now look through our pages and just read them. They can't interact because with Facebook, you need an account in order to interact and see. However, you can go through the archive and look at different things that the village does post. One of the big things for us too is now they're going to have the ability to stream live video on the website. So now, not only are we able to send it over Zoom and Facebook, now we'll be able to also send it over to the website. So we have 3 different ways to actually showcase our meetings that we have. And finally, as Mr. Mill says, this will get us compliant with our cyber security insurance. They have certain standards that we have to uphold in order how to maintain our data and how to protect our data. And this will check the box off for our website. The last thing is our website is not compatible with the Americans with Disability Act. For visual, for sound, is not compatible at all. I believe in the next couple of years, there's a federal mandate that all websites are needs to conform to the new ADA regulations for websites. By moving to this new website, we will now be in compliance with ADA regulations. And because of the robust system that is designed, any new additions that are mandated or any new additions that are now going to be required are now going to be easier to deploy to us without going through this major migration. So the first time we're going to migrate, it's going to be a little bit challenging. We have to work with them, coordinate with them, moving all our content to the new website. Once we do that, our capabilities are going to be a lot easier to upgrade to new standards because of this. So we really almost kind of don't have a choice. I mean, it's at a point where, as Mr. Mills said, it is tired, it is old, but it's also lacking a lot of features that we need and we're not giving our residents.
Mike, a few months ago, the county updated the website.
Yes.
Now it's in compliance with the ADA requirements. I went for training to learn how to download documents. These documents have to have specific writing, specific colors, specific designs. And I think that was one of the most difficult things that I tried to learn this day and age. As a matter of fact, I took the training twice. And to this day, I can tell you that I haven't been able to download a document that is in compliance. So we will do that if we go to this.
So the good news is that the component that does that will tell us in real time what's wrong with the document in order to be able to fix it. And we'll constantly scan our website for things that are not accurate and let us know what's not accurate. And if we have any problems, Civil Plus is just a phone call away. They have excellent technical support. We've used it numerous times, and they're very quick to respond to anything. But with this new capability, the disabilities component, it will tell you what's right and what's wrong in the document. What about? Now, as they will say, they're not 100%, and nobody's 100%, but they're very close.
Is the only company that can do this for us?
So this is a niche space, right? Governmental websites is a niche market. So the answer is yes, I'm sure there is. But when you're dealing with an upgrade like this, coming from one solution from one vendor to another solution with the same vendor, the transition is immensely easier than starting from scratch. Because if we went with another vendor, we would literally have to build every single page over again. Every picture, every text, everything.
Mike, would the residents be able to pay bills and check accounts on there as well?
So those are separate items that we are working on to deploying, but we can put links off of our website to those services, so they would be to utilize those, correct? It wouldn't be native to the website, it would be through our third parties that we're using.
Gotcha.
Mr. Hernandez, I'm in the middle of doing a website rebrand for work, so I've been immersed in this world now for about 8 weeks. And one thing that is incredibly important when rebranding a website or relaunching a website is making sure that that website has a voice, right? Like there needs to be a consistent messaging and branding. What is, your identity as a village. So I guess my first question becomes, is that incumbent upon us prior to venturing into this, figuring out a process to ensure that we have that level of consistent voice and branding? So would that have to come from us? Would that be you? Would that be Civic Plus? Do we need to form a committee? Like, what would that look like?
I mean, in my opinion, that would probably look like more like a committee. And you would look at it as the board, where you think the future of this website and branding would go from. I can reach out to Civic Plus and see if they have, a department that assists with that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because kind of the reason why I'm asking is my colleagues are the experts in the field that we're working with, but they're taking information that we give them and they're developing kind of what it would look like in a website version. So kind of taking that voice and so I don't know if Civic Plus does also do something like that to work with us on crafting.
I will find that out. The workflow that I would probably see this happening would be, once, however, the branding is decided on, I will be project managing, with Mr. Mills on the website, making sure that whatever the expectations are, that's gonna be the finished product.
My next question, hopefully my last, is really about the website being a one-stop shop. I think that's incredibly important, especially in 2025, that residents can look to our website as a place that they are able to not only get any information that they need, but be able to solve any problem that they have. So would this proposal include mechanisms for them to be able to do that? So whether it's, a health thing and they need help with this, and we would see that be able to flow it to the right department. Would this website in essence be a hub where they don't have to think about where do I need to go to fix this problem? There's a one-stop shop and we can flow things to the right.
Yeah, I mean, we would have to set up, different avenues for that to happen. That would happen all in the back end, right? With AI now being generated, I can only foresee these websites over the next 6 months, a year, 2 years, are going to start to incorporate artificial intelligence for answering questions and things like a chatbot of some sort that has artificial.
I'm surprised it's not an option now.
I believe they have it, but AI right now, everything else is still developing.
Yep.
But I think the more important, to your point, and looking at this as basically our website is an extension of our village hall, that's going to be open 24/7 while the administration's not here in the overnight.
Yes.
One thing, and Mr. Mills is going to bring it up, that I personally think is going to make that more a reality today, is the other integrations that are available to us to do just that. So a website will only go so far in what you want. There are other components that as you add like layers to a cake, now it becomes even better.
Thank you.
If I could just add, Civic Plus also handles our building department software, same parent company. So once this kicks in, we could probably better integrate, and eventually we'll get to the point when we get credit cards straightened out, where a plumber or electrician can just go online and file their permit without having to come in.
And that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Just waiting on that last step with the credit card situation to get, caught up.
So that actually came up at one of the meetings, because like Tony said, we have that product, and in their 2-year roadmap, they look to fully integrate the building component into the website. So now you literally don't have to deal with PDFs, paper, or anything like that. That information gets sent to the appropriate person. Tony would get the information. It would be all stored in the cloud, and accessible for whatever Tony needs. And that's part of the nice thing where Civic Plus, because of their purchasing of all these different companies, they're expanding their portfolio to make what you were talking about possible.
Mike, Civic Plus, are you aware of any other jurisdiction where they working with?
Yeah, they have.
Everyone.
Because they had, when Mike and I sat, Mr. Mills and I sat with the demo, they had 10 tabs open and they didn't even try. You know, and with all different levels of, complexity, from calendaring to mail distribution, to having alerts, being if there's an event or a storm. I mean, it's really like, it's almost like a rabbit hole with the stuff you can do nowadays with this technology.
And lastly, you and I spoke a few months ago about redoing our email addresses.
Mhm.
Will this program help going that way, or?
Those are two separate things, but more and more, and I believe there's a time frame. I don't know what the time frame is to move to a .gov domain. And the reason why governments are moving to the .gov domain is because the government controls it. So I, regular citizen, can't register villageofelmstreet.gov. It says it's taken. So you actually have to go through a security clearance and a process to identify who you are, and make sure you are the village representative in order to be able to get a .gov address.
We have to do that by, I believe it's the summer of 26.
That's a separate project in itself. Because that's renaming all the email addresses, that's renaming our websites, any services that use our domain name would have to be renamed. So I mean, that's a whole project in itself that is up there with the website to get it done. That means everybody's email is gonna change, their phones are gonna change, so. But yes, that is something that's on the radar, that at some point, a decision is gonna have to be made on what that name is going to be. And things of, are we enrolling the fire department into it? Is the PD gonna be the same one? So those are gonna be other questions during this project planning, how we're going to address the domain issue.
Thank you.
Now, in addition to the website, which you have in front of you, because this isn't just the website. They have two other components that once I got talking to them, I was very interested in, and we've built into these prices. So the first one, called Next Request, has to do with FOIL requests. And anybody who has been involved with our system, it's basically been designed by me over the last 20 years and kind of flows itself now, but through me. Takes a lot of time, a lot of my time. I get anywhere from 5 to 10 a week. I get anywhere from 5 to 10 a week that have nothing to do with us. But from the time they come in the door, they have to be managed, they have to be filed, they have to be kept. I have files on my computer. We have no more paper files anymore. There's tons of them up front. I have every file, every email, everything that ever happened. God forbid something happened to me and you didn't know where to look for it on my computer, you'd never find it. So they have an integrated system which starts, it can either come through the door and then be logged into the system, or it can go start right from the system. And it can be set up where I'm not doing everything, I'm managing it. But like today, and Tony will tell you, we evolved with like certain building department requests where I send the initial response back, which has to be done in 5 days. And I tell them, you have to call such and such at the building department to make arrangements to come see the file. And boom, I'm out of the picture. All I want to know is when it got finished. Before, I used to be involved in every single one of those documents. So this would automatically, when one that comes in this building department, that's just Tony that I know he has, boom, I can send it immediately to him. It's already inventoried. Everything he does gets inventoried. I don't have to call him and ask him, what did you do? It's going to show me what he did. And it's going to do that with everybody. It's going to do that with the police. Steve, how many do you get from me a week?
Yeah.
5, 10, 15?
At least 10, yeah.
And it seems like for some reason, it's just been a lot more FOIL requests for everything. I mean, every police report, every fire call, every ambulance call. And looking at this system that they have, I think it would be very, very useful to us. and help cut a lot of time. And we're not talking a lot of money. I'll get to the money when we get to that point. Then the third piece, which is called AMMS, is something that every place in the earth, on the earth, has except for us. And what it is basically is the management of agendas and minutes electronically. The school district has a system, the town of Warsing has a system, the town of Greenberg has a system. Something I showed the clerk, because we constantly struggle with minutes, as you know, we got a whole bunch that we're gonna have at the last meeting of this board that you had to deal with. This will help that immensely. A lot of it will be done, like when you see our meetings, when we share with the school district, the clerk is sitting there right on her thing. And she's just pressing buttons like, yes, it's already done. I'm writing, Dan's writing, I check my notes when my notes are, I can't read my own writing sometimes because I'm going so fast. And then the clerk, I give the clerk my notes, which I call the draft minutes. So they're always available. And then she looks at my notes and also listens to the meeting at the same time. It's a lot of wasted time. It really is. So that would bring us into the 19th century. And the price of that is also built in. So what I did is, and I'll tell you, I already played Monty Hall to get to these numbers. I built in all three. I built in one, and I have the price for none, meaning website with the 2 features, website with the 1 feature, website with no feature. It basically comes down, if we did nothing today, our renewal is due the end of the month, I think March.
Yeah, something like that.
Our renewal is, we do nothing, we get nothing, is over 20 grand. It's gonna cost us next year. If we do the whole package, our year 1 cost is gonna be 38,000, and our annual cost is gonna be 30,000. And it's based on a 3-year annual deal, not a 1, not a 2, not a 3, and the price was reflected and reduced based on that. So the full package that I'm recommending we do today is, did I give you a sheet?
No,
I meant to. It's bundle 1, which is the municipal website, everything that Mike and I talked about, the FOIL request items and the minutes and agendas. The year 1 cost, as I said, is 38,000, and the annual cost is 30,000. The way we would structure that, we have 2 ways to structure that. We can wait until June 1st to pay the bill, but then the cost goes up a little bit. It goes up 10,000 in that first, not 10,000, 2,000, which I would rather not do. I have the money. We have the money in the current budget to pay the first year cost right now to go full steam ahead. But I need to know that tonight. This would also, knowing this tonight, also give me the opportunity now to budget the annual cost going forward in the new budget, which is obviously it's 10 grand more than I was anticipating, but we can do that. It's not that we can, we should, and we need to. We just move some things around. So my recommendation is tonight that you approve bundle number 1, but let me decide with them. We have a call with them tomorrow, whether we're gonna go with the June cost or the current cost. And that's just, I want to look at a couple numbers real quick in the morning.
I just want to clarify that the AMM includes a portal where you would be able to upload our board packets, for example.
Everything.
Okay,
So-
because that to me is the most crucial part here, because when we're doing everything by paper, by email, trying to find an old item or an old agenda.
So they actually gave us a demonstration. I don't remember what municipality it was. They actually scanned their agendas and minutes from the 1800s into this platform.
Good times.
So not only, as Mr. Hill said, I mean, not only is this gonna streamline data entry, right? So now we're not using Word, we're not using Outlook, we're not using one portal, one place for everything. Right, saving time. I think that's the other important thing.
Yes.
Is that all these things are saving time for Mr. Mills, for a village clerk, and we have standardization finally, and accountability.
And let me piggyback off of that. I was on board when we instituted board docs. I push that full steam ahead, and it saved, to your point, money in multiple ways from not only the amount that we were printing, but also from staff time, but also we had a courier at that point who, that was one of their main responsibilities, was that. So being able to reallocate those resources, yes, there's an increase in what we're paying in terms of the website, but we also have to think about the other side of that and what we're actually then going to be saving in terms of staff time, in terms of what we're printing, in terms of the time it takes for our officers to be out there delivering packets when there's things that they should be doing with their time that is much more efficient to what their job is. So I think overall, it makes sense.
I think what you're also gonna see savings down the road is that as we develop this, as we develop the brand, as we develop the website, as we start integrating all these components, there are other things like the mailings, for example, right? Those can go full digital. And those are available 24/7, right? And have the ability to get the email addresses to push them out. You know, we should be right now in a digital world, like everybody else.
One of the other pieces with the agendas that I forgot, so Tony does agendas for 2 different boards, actually 3, if you include the ZBA. He would have the capability to go in and build his agenda. I can see it.
There's a workflow.
Yes.
The mayor and I, the way we do our thing today, we basically send smoke signals up. And by Thursday, we figure out what those are. So he'll send me his little list, I'll send him my little list, and then I'll put it together. Informally, send it to him, yep, good, Dan, you good, da, 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 and then do the final project. Today, it would be, he could actually go in and he could see me creating.
Mhm.
And he, like, give him the permission to say, yes, Mike, yes, no, yes, no.
Mhm.
Same thing with department heads, like, please do me a favor, take a look at this. So, people can, collaborate a whole lot better than on the phone, or please come to my office. And also know what's going on with that.
And I think that's the big point, is the collaboration, right? And it's the ability for Mr. Mills to oversee who's doing what, and talking, let's say, for the foils, when a foil comes in, that's tracked every step of the way, every comment that's made. So now Mike doesn't have to send an email to Tony, he can reply in the portal and basically say, please add this to the foil. And it's timestamped, and it says how long Tony's had it, how long it's mine, how long somebody else has had it. How long did we send it out to a resident? And the resident said, no, you didn't send it out in time. Well, here's the timestamp. We did send it out in time.
Any questions?
It sounds like a no-brainer, something that needs to be done. Yeah.
100%.
Mike, you want us to approve the resolution to
Call it,
that first package
Bundle 1,
under one?
municipal website,
Yeah.
next request, and AMMS. Basically, I give you this one. I'll give you this one, right? You got one. It says, the first number up on top and the total is 40,009. Okay, it's basically those numbers, but they've been discounted down a hair. And actually, that 40 number at the top there, that started at 49.
So what you're saying is if we gave you another week,
Another week I'd have a building tank.
yeah,
Get in there. Another week I'd have a building tank.
I'm sure it's coming.
Do we want to make a motion to approve bundle one?
Once you get to the meeting, we'll add that on as number
Four.
4.
Trustee Hendrick, okay for the agenda?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Coffee?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Evans?
1000% yes.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Lopez?
1,000,000% yes.
Thank you, sir. We have the letter from Infinity Energy.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna like this one. I thought you were gonna like this one, and I was hoping, when Tony sent me his things and they weren't, I was like, man.
Yeah, all the nights, there's no salt.
So basically what they're saying, and Tony and I begrudgingly will tell them, will not say that they have a point, but they have a point to some extent. And I've checked around, and I know our reasoning for doing the way we do it. But sometimes we cross the line a little bit, but we cross the line for good intent, not for malicious intent. Most of the communities around here, and you would think, and then the mayor and I talk to these people all the time. I thought everybody did this. They don't. They don't have reviews for their ARB for solar. I don't agree with that either. And I don't necessarily agree with what this guy was saying. I think there must have been one application that something, went amiss that I can't remember. I figured I wouldn't even reach out to this person until, we had this conversation.
So let's get a copy of that then.
But I mean, my recommendation, I wouldn't make any changes at this point, based on that letter. And then the best one is, so. Last week, whatever, they applied for a vendor permit to go door to door. You just can't make that up,
Have a point?
Sure.
Actually, I never spoke to this person. I didn't know this was coming, but this was something I had thought of in the back of my head to someday speak to the board about. We've never really rejected a solar permit. At most, we've had to make it more symmetrical. And if that's the desire of the board, that's something I could look at and make sure they're symmetrical as part of the review. We'd save 100 sheets of paper and about a month and a half, up to a month and a half on their application process. And then if there's something that, okay, they don't want to budge and I don't think it looks symmetrical, I could refer that to the board. But that's just a thought I had, they would give us 3 copies. We get one back, we give one to the town, we put one on file. Instead, now they're giving us 10 copies. There's 15 pages. Scanning it, putting it on the agenda. If they come in late, they come in tomorrow, they're not gonna get on to the next meeting. And if they're missing a piece of paper or a rendering, they have to go back and reapply. And, it's just something the board might wanna consider is, allowing these things to go through as a regular building permit, an electrical permit, rather than a architecture review, but
Kind of like,
that's up to the board.
kind of like sitting more as a hearing officer. So if you say something that he doesn't want to do, then he has a right to come to us to try and change it.
Right,
Because there isn't really a set code on what it looks like, because most of us ain't colored anyway, but like you said, symmetrical, there's that, and we could review that.
yeah, just like now, if there's a zoning board process, if someone doesn't agree with my interpretation of the zoning code, I could, we could make it a policy that, all solar panels must be symmetrical as much as possible on the roof, with the exception of any protrusion to the roof, so on and so forth. And then if I feel that it's questionable, I would refer it to the board.
Are you saying you're cutting out this board or cutting out both?
Well, we already cut the other board out 5-6 years ago,
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. because that was adding another month, because they only meet once a month. So something to consider.
I mean, look, I think when you've sat here enough times to kind of know how the board looks at these things and what we're looking for, in terms of what they look like, and again, the symmetry and how it's viewed from the street and all of that. I would have a larger issue if, there wasn't that level of mutual understanding that I think exists. I have the trust and confidence that you know how to do your job. That it's not something that I think we need to continue to do as long as there's an understanding of expectations and then there's an understanding of the process. If there's a disagreement and again, they're objecting to something you're telling them to do, and then as the mayor indicated, we kind of serve as the arbiters of that. I have no objections to it because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying it would pretty much make your job easier and speed things up to even push through. I believe in efficiency. So if you were saying to us that this is something that would provide an added layer of efficiency, I find it very difficult to be able to argue against that. So I have no issue with us as a board serving again as kind of like an arbiter of disagreement in that case, and going forward in that way. I want the record to reflect though I'm doing it because you brought it up, not because someone spent their day writing a busy fit letter to us.
But if you said it's the architectural viewpoint, you didn't have to go to the council. Right, you say if you will open them up, if we haven't had an architectural look at them in 6 years, there's no projects.
Well, that's you're sitting as, when you look at those, you're sitting as the architect review. They used to go to the commission and the board, but the commission basically always just referred it to the board. And we had to wait a month for them to look at it, so now when we streamlined the application process, we also cut out the commission and just bring them to you since you meet twice a month. It was a little more efficient that way.
When you're, bless you, when you're resting, write up some of that and we'll put it back on the agenda and get it running.
Okay.
We have time.
Yeah, because we're gonna probably have to do this by local law anyway, because there's probably some reference, I forget, in the local law. One thing I will point out, when these things first started, when you had, basically up there, you had 4 fire chiefs and you, or former fire chiefs and you. When these things were new, there were a lot of good questions about, the inverters and this and that and boom, 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 boom. Now that stuff really doesn't exist because it's all standard and they all know where they messed up previous. So, at the beginning, it was good. Because even the people would say, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It seems they fixed all those
Right.
bugs and stuff.
Yeah, and the code actually has come a long way, in catching up with this stuff, where now you have to have aisles, access ways for the fire department to access the peak of the roof. There's a quick shutdown, so when you shut the power off, it kills the power to the panels where the earlier ones still generated electricity. So, it's been a progression.
Modern technology.
Yeah.
The highway foreman has asked us to look at issues he's having with garbage and recyclables and stuff. How it's being put out, when it's being put out, too much being put out. He shared us with some pictures. He could be that person's credit card is getting all the Amazon boxes. Yeah, let's see what we can.
So for the past couple of months, I've been getting a lot more phone calls from residents complaining about the mess they see on the street. And if you see in those pictures, that's what they're referring to. People putting garbage out without cans, without tops, animals, the garbage blowing down the street onto their property. Why does a single family home have 9 garbage cans out? All the pictures that I've showed you are just examples of the kind of complaints that I've been receiving. I have to agree with them. Our garbage men have the same complaints. I think we have to maybe try and put some restrictions on what people are allowed to do with garbage. I don't necessarily want to leave it out, so I think one of the problems is that we see a mess like that and we do pick it up. Because, you know, I don't think leaving it out there is the answer. So you put something like that out, you come home, it's gone. And you do it again next week. And this is 2 days a week. So we look at some of this garbage and you think maybe that's like a month. That's, people are putting that out twice a week. I don't know how they're generating that much garbage. And I just think that we should look at some way to kind of just neaten the process up a little bit.
Let's say I wanna throw a king mattress, the garbage. I put it outside. And you guys say,
It's gotta
you
be,
don't charge,
it's gotta be.
it's in a plastic bag, so you take a king mattress and throw it away from me, free of charge.
Yep.
Why don't we turn it around and just charge something? So we'll put it upside.
Me. You're gonna get in trouble if I started charging people. Yeah, I mean, I think it's part of the service. I'm not opposed to doing that for them. You know, people buy a new mattress, yeah, you put it out. One complaint that I'm getting from the garbage man is there's a few houses that have mattresses or couches out every week. So, I mean, are you buying couches and mattresses every week? You know, how is that happening?
They get in their brothers, their
Yeah,
sisters,
because
they-
they know we're gonna pick it up, and we will, because you know, it's your neighbor, I don't want, you guys don't want to see that outside your house, so we pick it up. But then it seems, you know, that it's okay, they picked it up, I can do it again. So it's just a cycle of, it's never gonna get better unless we have some enforcement.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing is there's gotta be a way to kind of, for lack of a better term, track. Right, so let's give an example. We're talking about the homes that are putting out, you know, mattresses multiple times a week. Or couches multiple times a week. These are very large items, right? So. Do you think a mechanism by which they have to somehow make an appointment for those things to be picked up? Would be a way of us being able to then be able to say, hey, we literally just picked up, you know, a mattress from you 10 days ago. How is it that, you know, like, would a system like, do you think a system like that would be helpful to you? Or would it create more work and thus not?
Well, I think if we went to a system where people called and scheduled it, I think it might take it away from the sanitation department doing it. Because they just go down the road and they go house by house and pick it up. So. I mean, I have to think about how to schedule that to where they can schedule with me, but it's on the route that they're doing. Instead of just saying, oh, we're gonna have once a month pickup or. You know, I have to think about how that would work with the sanitation. It would work easy if highway did it, because then I would just get a call and send a guy out to get it. But sanitation can be done by that time, they gotta pass that street. So I have to think about how to, you know.
I mean, same, we're gonna have to give it some guns, but I
It would
think.
help, yeah, scheduling would help with that aspect of it.
But some
As
people
far as
do,
rubbish.
some people call you for appointments and then sometimes you tell them,
Yeah,
it's too much, put half out this week and half next week.
yeah, it's, people will call me and say, listen, you know, I'm moving out, I have a few things I wanna get rid of, yeah, and I'll work with them like that, okay, do me a favor, put the dresser and mattress out this Thursday, and whatever, the table and chairs out the next. And no problem, that's, you know, go do that. But most people know the schedule, that Thursday and Friday is rubbish, so they're just gonna load the street up with any rubbish they have, or their aunt might have, or their uncle might have, and
No, that's not right.
that's, we're picking it up.
It's funny, in White Plains. It was kind of like that, I think, until they gave us the one bucket with the arm. And now you could put a dead body in that bucket. I mean, they'll take whatever's in there, they pick up. But then that's all they pick up. So if you have a dresser, a mattress, then you have to call, make an appointment, they tell you what day to put it out.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it could be for in a week or, you know, whatever. And then you have to lug it to the curb and put it out on that day, and then the special truck comes by and picks it up. But they have a lot of trucks and they have a bigger system, so it's different.
I mean, we see the problem based on the pictures. Can you call a couple of your colleagues and ask them what they do? Because when Mike and I are at the VLC meetings, we hear a lot of different things that other communities do.
Yeah.
Some are charging, some don't take it all. You know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, maybe just call a couple of villages and ask them what they do, or even go online and get their.
I've talked to people that say that they don't pick it up, they stick it. I don't, you know,
No,
I don't think that's.
Right, I mean, just get an idea of what
Just
they're.
leaving the best out there
Correct.
for the neighbors to look at.
And then it happened last time with the tires, so they were just dumping them at
Yeah.
that ends of
Yeah,
it.
if it, I mean, there's obviously items that we just are not allowed to put in the trunk, and those will stay. But other than that, you know, I mean, they're gonna pick it up, just to get it off the street.
I think there's something to kind of be said about. And I know this would be a much larger conversation, but when we're talking about, you know, the amount of garbage cans that a household has, I think one of a solution to this could potentially be, as we're looking down the road, that the only garbage receptacles that you picked up are ones that we provide. So if we're providing, or, you know, even if we, you know, require a household to purchase, you know, a garbage can from us. You know, as opposed to it, you know, being one that we provided, that would be a mechanism by which we could say we are only picking up garbage that exists within the garbage cans that we are responsible for. So if we're giving you one garbage can and we're giving you one recycling bin, you know, for your plastics or what have you, that's what we're picking up. And anything beyond that, it's not getting picked up. Because let's be very clear here, there are municipalities that literally do charge outside of what they're paying taxes, do charge residents to do what it is we're doing right now that is part of, you know, what they're paying taxes. I think that's very clear that that's what has to be made. Because I think many are under an assumption that what we do here is the norm. And it's
Yeah.
not,
No, absolutely.
it's not. So I think as we're having a conversation with, you know, potential competitor, I think that's something that we're gonna need to look at as a way of being able to curb it. Without, in the ways, like you said, just saying, oh, we're just gonna, you know, pick it up or leave it. I think it's one of those things that they know, we're picking up what's in there and that is it.
Yeah.
You put anything else out there, that's on you, and then if you're gonna leave garbage at the curb, there have to be consequences for that.
Also, what I see a lot, like today, I drove up and down the north side of town, and people have their garbage out. They don't get their garbage picked up till Thursday. And it's out. I mean, some of it, yes, maybe they just don't bring it in, they leave their can at the curb and then they bring it out to it, maybe that's what they're doing. But yeah, we don't have garbage for 2 days on that side of town, and there's plenty of houses with their garbage out already.
I mean, yeah, the time is.
Exposed without tops on it. So an animal will get to that by Thursday. Cause a mess, that would blow into probably, and I'll get a phone call about it.
To piggyback off of trustee Evans, he has a good point, and it does work when we provide the cans, because back in 1990 through 92, when the county started the recycling program, we went to a recycling Syracuse. And I had studied it and showed that exactly what he's right, is if you provide the container, you get more, and you get it controlled. Because I've suggested like the blue boxes, and that time the report dispatcher provided it for us. Some of us still say them on the boxes out there. And we also said, if you pick up newspaper once a week, you get more than you do it every other week. And so when I went to speak on that, it was proven that those containers, like you just said, is the key. And you've heard me mention that over the years, that we should. It's been a long time, and most people are running out of those, and there's less newspaper. Because it's newspaper, but there's more cardboard, right?
Which I apologize for not bundling mine. I
Just
know I'm supposed to.
put them inside the boxes.
Yeah.
But if, you know, we do that and you get a certain color blue one for the co-maple.
Yeah, yeah.
And you get the green one for the cardboard and newspaper, and then you get one, so if we do that, it's more controllable. It's more easy for you guys to recognize what's in that container. Because we knew the blue boxes was the newspaper and cardboard. Now you don't know what's in those garbage cans. The guys are taking the lid off it, you know, so I'm gonna be more. Oh,
Yeah, and we have been called out, it's only happened once, but we have been called out in Yonkers at the dump for things that have been put in the trucks because they're in black bags, in cans, they dump it, and they do inspect when we dump.
And they can't see it.
And yeah, they can't see it, they're,
Brian, around the block from my house, somebody that's got a huge trade. I don't know if you've seen it. These guys cut it in humongous pieces. Are they waiting for you to pick up all those?
Is that on Vincent?
No,
No,
a plumber.
On Van Ward? I
Huge,
assume, yeah,
huge.
yeah, that's.
How are you gonna pick up
So,
those huge
so
pieces?
that's gonna be my next point is with organics. What I see is I'll come in on a Monday and since we do it Monday to Tuesday, see these piles of brush that are put out, perfectly cut, huge piles that I know a contractor did. And I mean, I can't prove it because it was on the weekend or, but you know, they're probably charging for removal of the residents and we're taking it. Because again, it's that situation where you got this mess on the street that I don't want to leave. And we pick it up.
Tomorrow, drive by and see how big these pieces are. It's ridiculous.
So organics is another issue. As soon as we pick it up, they're putting it right back out. And a lot of it is contractors, you know, doing lawn work and they're just bagging it, leaving it out there. And we're taking it away. Where, in my opinion, that should be, you know, for the house, you know, the homeowner that's doing the work themselves. They're generating that, not the contractor. At least that's, I mean, you may disagree with that, I think that's what it should be for.
The one other thing on the list to look at, for you to look at, and it's been one of the ones that just drives me insane. We have a limit on the size of the can in our code. And it's never been enforced. I mean, there's cans out there the size of this podium.
You see different pictures?
Yeah, they're just, and I've heard from people that go through our village that are in the business, in the garbage business, whether it's with a municipality or somebody else. And they tell me, I see you guys picking these huge cans up. Are you out of your mind letting them do that? And you know, I talk to Brian about it all the time, that it's gonna come down to enforcement and it's not gonna make some people happy because there's some big cans out there.
And they're not cheap, you know,
No.
some people are gonna be upset, well, I want this can.
I mean, I told a story before where I got one of those. My wife came home one day, she was happier than a pig and whatever. And she said, I bought a new garbage can, it's got wheels, it's real sturdy, blah, blah, blah. So I looked at it, the thing is, it's almost the size of the ones for the lift thing. And it's, oh, that's great, because you know, I got a hill, I gotta take my thing down, it's got the big tires on it. First time we put it out there, came home and I could see it as I was coming down the street, the big red thing on the top of it. It's still on there because we never get it off. The can's too big. Now the cans we use it for in the backyard when there's a party or something, or I use it to put bottles and something. But we used it well, we didn't even use it because they didn't take the garbage in. It's too big.
And the other complaint is the schedule. People are not happy with the schedule. How it's with the app. They want the
They want the old calendar, right here, it's full,
They
they want the old color printed.
And you know, honestly, I think that might help a little bit, because I think people just don't know anymore either, because they don't have the app, they don't go online. Where before, this was always on your refrigerator or somewhere, and they would check.
Mike and I made that for years, and people loved it, right?
I know that was expensive, so I'm not saying that, you know, but
Yeah.
that is another complaint.
Yes, but I'm sorry, but they don't have the app because they don't know how to use it?
Yeah, yeah.
It's so simple. You get a reminder the night before.
What is
Morning.
What else can you?
Yeah, I agree, I agree. And I tell them, you know, you just put it on your phone, or you can come down here and they'll print it out for you. But with this recycle coach that we have now, they print out 1 month at a time. And you can only do 6 months at a time, so I can only print out the first 6 months. And hand you a month, so you have 6 different sheets.
Where with the old one, see, that, I think that's the other problem too, we're in the process of going to a new app. Which. Excuse me, we probably didn't publicize it really enough. Excuse me, and at the same time, the old app, we could print out the whole calendar year. And then if somebody asked for it, we mailed it to them, they stopped by, they picked it up, we can't do that. There's been a lot of complaints about this new app we have, not just from us, from other municipalities. There's I wanna say 3 of the 7 villages in VOC don't even have theirs up and running. And probably won't for some time. I haven't really looked at the new app very much. I thought the old one worked, once you got it going, it worked pretty good. But a lot of complaints, I think, so it's a combination of that too. I think if that app gets up and running right, and we can also print them out more. But these people haven't been easy to communicate at all, right? You can tell.
No, it took me almost the whole month of January to get it right with emails back and forth, correcting them. It's good now.
Yeah, the only issue that I remember is the one that you and I spoke about. What it told you,
Yeah.
the one that I said, you said that it
Your
was gonna,
address wasn't on there, right? Wasn't showing up.
it's something like that.
Yeah.
But that was the only
So
issue.
it seems to be fixed now. But with the other recollect, I had control of that. I was able to go in and make changes, give notes to that go out to the public if you were to go on the app. I would make the schedule from it and they would just kind of correct it or upload or whatever. Now, any issues I have with it, I have to send an email to somebody. And I don't know what time they start work, are they off that day, are they gonna get the, I've lost control of being able to update anything on the app with this recycling program.
The other one with this is the old one, we had to pay for it. We got a grant, but it had to be paid for. This current one is free, so you get what you pay for.
Yeah, even on the days we wanted to cancel it for something, we go right in here and then that's what we
Yeah,
pop
if
up.
I have an issue, if a truck break, if any kind of issue, I was able to go on and send out, now you have to go on the app and check it, it wouldn't send out like a blast email or anything. But it still was a way to get information out if you were willing to go, if you had the app and you used it. Now I have to send an email, like I said, when that's gonna be checked.
Who manages the app now?
It's called the county, it's called Recycle Coach through the county.
So 2 things come to mind on this. One, I think there can be a happy medium, right? Where we can have a mechanism by which they would be able to go online and download that full calendar that they love so much, and be able to print that. I mean, if they really wanted that badly, but I think the other part is we're talking about rebuilding a website here. And the components that are attached to it, it would make sense for us to see if Civic Plus has some type of a mechanism that would somehow streamline, this process and maybe make it easier. I don't know, but I think it's something we're at least looking at to see if there's something on the website we would be able to put into.
Yeah, I think the residents need something that they can put in their house that has the entire year on it with holidays. So they understand what days we're off,
Yeah,
which we don't have. now.
and this is kind of what I mean by getting back to the website and just bringing it all together is making the website a one-stop shop. If it were easy to navigate, and they could literally just go to highway and sanitation and it's gonna show them exactly what it is they're looking for. I don't think they're gonna have that many issues. I think it's important to note that people who, may not be too apt with the apps, are not necessarily incapable of navigating a website. I think these are 2 very different animals here. So I would argue that those who are not fans of the app for whether it's functionality or access or ease of use would be able to go to a website and click the highway and sanitation tab and see what they're looking for. So I think this is an avenue we definitely probably need to look at as we're going through this whole rebranding process to make this a little easier.
And we will help them as well, even with Recollect, you were able to do that, but some older residents didn't know how to use the computer. So we would print it for them and bring it to them, it wasn't a problem, but you can't do that with this.
Yeah.
Print it out.
Thank you. Like an update us on the Knobville Apartments.
Okay, this is more for those tuning in, because everybody in the room knows all about this already. We had a discussion a couple months ago about how we could get some of the apartment complexes to give discounts, and the one was Nob Hill, but they weren't making it very well known, so I reached out to them. And they've now put together a program that they're calling Hometown Heroes. And they're providing an incentive to move in at $2,000, which would be $1,000 off your first month rent and $1,000 off the 6 month rent. If you're employee in the village or volunteer ambulance, volunteer firefighter. And I think they're doing it for some other places too, like the hospitals, et cetera. So that's available now at NACO.
Very good news,
It's great.
excellent news. Thanks for getting it done.
Mike's gonna brief us on the VLCs.
So we're gonna do this the fast way.
Yeah.
Everybody has a copy of the January agenda. Is there anything on the agenda that you want information on?
I'm just gonna go with the things that I don't know what they mean. Let's start with Project Mover.
I forget what that is. It's nothing to do with.
Good job.
It's one of the, there's individual things. I forget what that is. That has nothing to do with us.
Beautiful, okay, and do we have a food scrap update that you care to share?
Food scrap, we actually, which is forward of this now. We actually had a very nice meeting, last week. Where we had interaction with all the communities, we had, players in the community having to do with the food scrap program. This is part of the program research that we're doing. And it was done online, there was probably 30 people, Brian? Yeah. And, first they went through what we currently do now, what they found, and then they went through, they split the group into 2 groups and went into a interactive, session asking questions of the opinions of the community people. Like Brian and I were separate, we weren't in the same room, right?
We were.
Oh, were we in the same room? So we were asked the same questions, so they were getting double from us, but it was amazing that most of the communities all listed everything the same way. So that was an exercise in helping them get this report done. And I think there'll be another one, a better update in about a week or so. But it's moving along, and it's, the company we have that's doing this is very, very sophisticated. They've done these things before, and, you know, they didn't take for granted that we're small individually, and we're still small collectively. And that, did you want the Cadillac, or do you want the program we have now, basically? So they're covering all bases. And whittling it down, and they understand what the issues are, the impediments to doing a full-blown program.
Thank you.
Anything else on that sheet? Just point out for Tony, starting to collect the information for the joint paving. Irvington's doing that again. February list. The only one I'll point out, the Marnac pledge, I think Vicky sent you the link there for that. A lot of these things are all repeats. Excuse me. Yeah, they're all repeats. The one I'll comment on, even though it's a repeat that's been bannered about forever, the deer management thing at Dobbs Ferry, they gave a report on that. And actually what they did, I guess was very successful. They did a controlled hunt, took out, I think he said 36 deer. All that meat was donated to various places, but and I learned a lot from this last conversation that they had about how they're studying how the deer interact with the community and the forest. And the whole thing has to do with saving what is really their forest there, that the deer are just destroying because that's the only food they have. And as the population gets bigger, you know, they need more food. And they've used drones and they've mapped out, and it's really kind of cool. It was the first year that they did the reduction, or I think the second year, but this was a bigger one. And it seems like it's helping. It's good, it's gonna help. And then we had the website management conversation, which everybody's actually moving to what we just did. And that's it. And actually, that agenda for Thursday, or this past Thursday, which looks like it was really long, went pretty quick.
Update the personnel policy.
There's 7, as you all know, it was distributed electronically finally. After I did it, and I'm not gonna point it out until I fix it, I did find a mistake in the book. I'm waiting for anybody else who might find it themselves, and I think it has to do with the last go around from you guys to me to the consultant. They mixed up a chapter, I think, with somebody else. And I didn't notice it until after I sent it out to you. But that will be fixed, and it'll be amended in the book, and then just a link, so you don't have to, if you download it, you'll just have to download the new piece. The dental plan. The dental and vision is basically by the policy we have. Well, we do. And I think I've gotten probably 90% response on the return forms at this point. I'm looking at Pete. Actually, I've gotten a lot from the fire department.
From the fire department directly to you?
I've gotten some, yes. Yes,
I had some that came to me, so I'm
Okay.
waiting for more.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
I struggled with on how we were gonna do this. And I think the mechanism that I came up with, I think was easier for everyone. Again, I didn't want to print, 300 manuals that are gonna collect dust. So providing you a link, it's on the website, it's always there. You can download it, put it on your computer if you want to print it out yourself. But we went to the 18th century this time.
Our March meeting scheduled for March 11th. Motion to adjourn the work session?
Okay, 2 minutes.
I have one question before we close the work session. Any progress on negotiations with the school board regards to financing the school resource officer?
We're looking either Thursday or Friday to have a meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
And I could just piggyback off of what Trustee Henry said, I think it's important, just as we're venturing into that conversation. I won't speak for my colleagues, but I'm sure on this one I could. I think I for sure am definitely in favor of making sure that the school district has an SRO at their disposal. I think it's important. I think it's crucial. I don't think anyone up here disagrees with that. I think we all agree about its importance, especially when it comes to student safety. And just the safety of the community at all. I think the conversation, just to, I think touch upon Trustee Henry's point, I think the conversation is making sure that it is paid for. I think that's really just what the crux of this is. And just making sure that there's a recognition that there are residents of the village who do not pay school taxes to the Elmsford Union Free School District. And would then be, currently as they are, and have been for many years, have been responsible for paying for the service. So, we all stand in favor of it. We just have an obligation to look out for every resident of this village. So I just think that's important to know.
You got 2?
I passed out to the board members that affected the New York State retirement days work memo for you. I'm also going to send you a link that will provide you with maybe a better way to do it than the little calendar that I gave you. It's actually, I didn't know it existed. Anna had showed it to me before the meeting. That's interactive. You can fill in the calendar, and then the last page that I added to that I showed you there, it gives it a little more explanation of what you're doing. The calendar I gave you was very simplistic in that it was, committee meeting, 2 hours, phone call, whatever. That's what they're looking for. So I'll send you that link, so you have that. Then under the category that good things take time sometime. As you know, in the last budget or in this current budget, we added the position of superintendent of recreation. I've been working with civil service to, first of all, we took some time to put what together that was going to be. And then I had to create the position in civil service and get it approved for us as well as classified. And I woke up this morning to an email approving that. So as of now, they've classified it as a superintendent of recreation, effective as of yesterday. There is a current eligible list, which has approximately 26 names on it. That is, doesn't expire until 2028. And I requested the list this afternoon. So we'll get that list in and we'll canvass that and then we'll come back to you. It took some time because I'm gonna tell you, I think trustee Evans had asked me, and I think trustee Henry had asked me why it was taking so long. And part of it had to do with the understanding of our structure. You know, as I said to you, what we really need is a deputy or a rec leader, but you can't have that position if you don't have a boss. And it took some time for civil service to understand what our setup is with, in terms of camp, in terms of next level, in terms of the other clinics that we run and other events like Halloween, Christmas, whatever, Easter, and how that's structured under all the part-time people and seasonal people we use. So that took some time. And then finally, over the last 2 days, the light bulb went off and boom, got it today.
I just want to say thank you. I apologize for my impatience. It's just with this whole thing, it's just that this is important. And it really, this is the first step in our push to expand what recreation opportunities we have for the youth, seniors and adults in this community. You know, this is about making sure that we have stability in offering our seniors these programs, actually providing our youth with you know, a recreational program, and to know that we've now, you know, got the first building block to really giving us what we deserve here is great. So thank you for that. It's been a long time coming, and I look forward to the next steps.
One of the other things to think, with this, we had also talked about appointing a new committee, once we get this person on board, to kind of let this person know what we're really, looking to do. So that's another thing for the back of the brain down the road.
Motion to adjourn work session.
So move.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried.